Today on There Is No Such Thing as Proximity to Whiteness, we have the largest immigration rate in all of US history. And people who look like me often think, it's definitely about the Mexicans and Latinos. Well, guess what? They were Korean. So people who literally look like me.
Asian Americans did not overwhelmingly vote for Donald Trump, but you know who did? Korean Americans did, specifically in Georgia. And why does that matter? Because of what happened in Georgia the other day. Now, the last time I called out Korean Americans for their vote for Trump, I got called a lot of things on this app, in my comments and in my DMs from other Asians. So I will say this. Wasn't all Asians, wasn't even a majority of Asians, but it was 64% of Korean Americans in Georgia, and that is relevant to this conversation.
I hope Asian Americans understand that there is nothing called proximity to whiteness. So somebody pat on the shoulder of an Asian American and remind them they are not white. Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen the Iceraids? Yeah, Asian Americans are being isolated. Apparently 500 of them. 500 of them. And the news is saying 450 people were undocumented. Even the Mexicans are laughing right now.
Now, the last time I called out Korean Americans for their vote for Trump, I got called a lot of things on this app, in my comments and in my DMs from other Asians. So I will say this. Wasn't all Asians, wasn't even a majority of Asians, but it was 64% of Korean Americans in Georgia, and that is relevant to this conversation. Because those factory workers, those Korean nationals who are now having to deal with a legal nightmare, probably lost wages because you think Hyundai's paying for them while they're being detained. It was their cousins, their American cousins, who made all of this possible. I've said for a while that Korean Americans have attached themselves to whiteness. Korean Americans have attached themselves to this idea that they're better than other Asians and better than other people of color. Not all Koreans feel this way. I certainly did not grow up feeling this way. My family does not feel this way. Don't come at me. If this isn't you, congratulations, you're one of the good ones. But I'm telling you, 64% of Korean Americans in Georgia voted for Donald Trump. And I'm speaking to them specifically. They will never see you as American. The Red Hatters, they will never see you as an equal member of society. And that might actually be okay with some of you because you have placed them at a higher status than even yourself. And you put your cousins in trouble because of it. Now, the reason some Korean Americans gave for their vote for Trump was for the economy, immigration, and wokeness. And I have to assume that some Korean Americans in Georgia who voted for Trump might start to be waking up.
So people who literally look like me. Today at the Hyundai LG plant, which produces batteries for electric vehicles, the largest raid in all of Homeland Security history went down where they arrested 475 people, mostly of whom were of Korean descent. And the reason why I say that there's no such thing as proximity to whiteness is that a lot of people who look like me think that this whole immigration crackdown is about Latinos and brown people, forgetting that Asian people are people of color, as in, we are not white. And South Korea just learned this the hard way because just barely a few weeks ago, South Korea committed to spending billions of dollars investing into the US economy. Where literally just barely 2 weeks ago, they pledged an additional $150 billion into the US economy. And that's already after South Korea committed to investing $350 billion investment from South Korea to the United States for things like shipbuilding, semiconductors, batteries, and energy. Hyundai specifically stated that they were going to invest an additional $5 billion into that US investment. And just a quick reminder, Hyundai and Kia just merged. So we're talking about Hyundai, Kia's, and Genesis, which committed to expanding its automobile and parts production in the US, including building a new steel mill in Louisiana and a state-of-the-art robotics facility. And apparently, even after being a puppet state of the imperialistic United States for over 70 years now, South Korea hasn't learned a single thing because they were like, we're gonna try to buy our way into America's good graces and lower tariffs by investing billions of dollars into their economy, even though, just a friendly reminder, proximity to whiteness is not a thing. Just like proximity to anything doesn't turn you into that thing. Like, I can stand next to a billionaire as long as I want. It's not gonna just magically make me a billionaire. And until we address that and stand together, our communities will continue to fall.
You know, when the ice raids were coming up, I saw Asian people saying, This is not our battle. And I remember there's an Asian lady who came out and said, I don't understand why people are saying Asian Americans, you need to speak about these situations because y'all are immigrants too. And she said, have you seen us being raided? We are not illegal. That's your business. Y'all come from Mexico illegally. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, the company car, Hyundai, I don't know how you guys call it there, Hyundai, raided. Factory shut down so ICE can do its job. We got the FBI in the same place. They are saying, we shall not accept your ghetto here. Y'all are illegals and you ought to go back to your home country. Now, Asian Americans are so disappointed. So disappointed because they thought they would be closer to being white. Oh, darling, tell me why people of color are people of color in America when it comes to a bad situation, when they know black people can come and help rescue them, when they are living a good life. They are not people of color. They okay, we are Asian Americans, we just don't care. Same thing with Latinos, Hispanics for Trump. We are not people of color. I don't understand why black people. Until they got raided and they needed some help, they started crying to black people, come help us. And black people saying, y'all just want to use us, When you are in a bad situation, you remember that you are people of color. By this time, black people were silent on the internet. Those that are talking, we are like, hello, Asian Americans, you're people of color today because you need our help. It's not gonna work.
Frankly, Chris, it's surprising that we haven't seen raids of this scale at workplaces yet. We've seen such a crackdown in cities, primarily those run by Democrat mayors. We haven't seen a lot of workplace raids. And ICE officers will tell you, if you want to get big numbers, as this administration does, workplaces are typically where they start. So this one stands out. They went into this Hyundai facility in Georgia. We understand more than 400 people were arrested. Now, the special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Georgia, the part of ICE that carried this out, said this was not something that is part of the immigration crackdown you're seeing that's happening week by week, day by day across the country, that this took months of planning. Take a listen to what he said.
This was not a immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant. Yesterday, we executed that search warrant and gathered additional evidence that will support this investigation.
And Chris, oftentimes what we see when there are workers who are working undocumented is that they may have used someone else's identification and tax number in order to get that job. We're also hearing from the company who said that it was their understanding so far that none of those detained is directly employed by the Hyundai Motor Company. They say we prioritize the safety and well-being of everyone working at the site and comply with all laws and regulations wherever we operate. And I have to say, from covering workplace raids in the past, that can sometimes be common, that there can be subcontractors and they can even have contractors who do all of the hiring that aren't talking to the parent company. Sometimes it can distance themselves from liability in situations like this. But in this case, they're saying these were not people directly working for them, Chris.
A giant ICE raid just happened in Hyundai in Georgia. In the now viral video, you can see ICE agents everywhere. You also had some police officers. They had some helicopters that got involved in this whole mix. It was a massive raid in Georgia. Their objective was to catch as many people as they can, and they went one by one asking for their documents.
The South Korean government does not trust United States law enforcement agencies to not infringe upon the rights of their citizens, and in response are deploying diplomats from both Washington, D.C. and the Atlanta consulate to the Hyundai Motors factory outside of Savannah, Georgia, where yesterday DHS conducted their largest ever enforcement raid against a company. when they arrested 475 individuals, the majority of them from South Korea. The problem with this is that almost all of them were authorized to be here, either through contractors, subcontractors, and all of them had been verified through the E-Verify system. Now, DHS says that they received the tip from local residents who turned in Hyundai Motors and contractors for illegal hiring practices and discriminations after they were refused jobs in favor of South Koreans. I can tell you exactly where these DHS tips came from.
Hyundai's Georgia plant was raided today by U.S. federal immigration authorities, including the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, DEA, as well as other local law enforcement agencies like Atlanta ATF. According to the Associated Press, the lead Georgia agent of Homeland Security investigations said that the raid resulted from a months-long investigation into allegations of illegal hiring at the site, and it was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the agency's two-decade history. The focus of the raid was on the battery plant, which is still under construction. It is a facility that Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions partnered up with to produce batteries that power EV vehicles. 475 people have been detained, and most of the detainees have been taken to an immigration detention center in Folkston, Georgia, which is near the Florida state line. DHS has said that some workers illegally crossed the border, while others had expired visas or had entered on a visa waiver that prohibited them from working. By the sounds of it, the vast majority of those who were detained were employed by contractors or subcontractors at the construction site. So I assume this won't affect Hyundai as far as vehicle production goes, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
So somebody pat on the shoulder of an Asian American and remind them they are not white. Okay? Yeah. There's no such thing as proximity to whiteness. I need to whisper, guys, because I'm very sick. I have flu, I have cough, I had fever. And my life is going away. No, but I'm alive in Jesus' name. But ladies and gentlemen, go down in the comment section and let me know. How many more? And I don't even intend to be petty. Let me even speak nicely. How many more do you think are gonna be raided when they chose to be very white towards black people?
Yo, I just saw a video. This lady sitting here admitting to calling ICE on the workers in that Georgia plant, the Korean workers. Bro, once all the research is done and all that on how much money was lost from doing that, all future international business in that part of Georgia, really any part of the South similar to that. For reference, anybody who's been in the South knows you have one or two big cities in the place and the rest of it is just straight desolate land. It's over, bro. They messed up all future business. All the fast food places that were built and created jobs for people in the area, Dollar Generals, grocery stores, it's over. And these people think they're going to get the jobs in those plants. You think they invested $21 billion to give you, a dirty American citizen, those jobs? Bro, it's over. Y'all dumb as hell, man.
Okay, guys, breaking news. ICE has just carried out the largest single-site raid in their history and arrested nearly 500 people at a Hyundai factory in Georgia. Now, they said that of the 475 who were detained, they were either in the country illegally or working unlawfully, and around 300 of those were Korean, which is also where Hyundai, the car company, is from. A spokesperson for Homeland Security said this was a multi-month criminal investigation where they developed evidence, they conducted interviews, and then they submitted this to a judge and got a judicial search warrant of the factory. Now, all of these workers are being held at a detention center in Georgia until the agency can decide where to move them next.